So, we are locked in on a stay-at-home order over the COVID-19 crisis that is unfolding around the world right now. So, welcome to a special edition of Cliffieland, which begs the question, how am I going to do this if I can't roam around the county and look for specific items? And welcome back to Cliffieland. This is Weekend Country number 158 on our second attempt of cooking food of every single country in the world. And tonight up to the nation of Solomon Islands. Not to be confused with the Solomon Islands, which is the larger archipelago, which includes the nation, and there are some other islands that are parts of other countries. But the nation of Solomon Islands is an island nation which is comprised of 6 major and about 900 smaller islands located to the east of Papua New Guinea and to the northwest of Vanuatu. And it has a tradition and a history going back 5,000 years. In terms of its food, you're obviously going to find a lot of dishes that involve fish and coconut and sweet potato and breadfruit and cassava and that island favorite of poi. And this all factored into what we did last time, and we didn't have the restriction of being locked inside the whole time then, so let's take a look and see how things went when we tried it last time. Well, 4 years ago on the Global Cooking Challenge, I was able to cook and stream across 2 nights, but I did have this problem that I have with so many of these nations of Oceania, in that a lot of the dishes are involved in a deep, rich, cultural, culinary, communal tradition, which is not any part of what we're trying to do here. Also, a lot of them involve very specific items which we really have a really hard time finding here in South Florida. And also, I didn't want to reproduce dishes that I've done in similar forms for nearby island nations or other island nations, and I apologize for that. And complicating matters further was, in terms of Solomon Islands, it was next to impossible to find recipes that were specifically Solomon Islands. Most of what I found basically said, find a fish and fry it on an open fire, and I really couldn't do that. So what we wound up doing was 2 nights. The first night we did a fish curry, the curry being inspired by the tradition of people from South Asia that came to the islands as workers and brought their traditions and their spices along with them, and we served that with the green papaya curry. Now both of those came out rather nicely, even though I didn't get an actual picture of it, so that's as good as it gets. Sorry about that. We're not doing that this night because we have a number of limitations, and finding that green papaya was going to be probably a bit much for these conditions. But what we are doing is half of what we did on the second night, which is a noodles and shellfish with a sweet potato puree. Now, we're not doing the sweet potato puree this time, but the deal with that last time is it was very not a traditional dish. I just didn't want to cook another sweet potato boiled in water on the side thing, and I got a puree thing and it was okay. But the noodles and shellfish dish itself is interesting in that it's based on the concept that Chinese traders bought noodle dishes to Solomon Islands, and you'll find those dishes in the major cities of the country and not in other places. So take that as a bit of a disclaimer. Also, what we did last time is we used mussels, and I made the big mistake of using fresh lo mein noodles instead of dried egg noodles, which is what the recipe called for. So we're going to try to fix that this time. And I wanted to do a different sweet potato dish, which I understand is more traditional, but the thing is, being that we're under quarantine here, we can't run around and look for taro leaves. So I apologize to y'all. Hopefully we'll get to something like that in the islands to come. That being said, let's take a look and see what goes into tonight's dish. For our noodles and shellfish, we'll need 5 quarts of water, 1 onion sliced finely, a 1-inch knob of ginger grated or sliced into julienne strips, 1 1-pound package of Chinese egg noodles, 2 chili peppers sliced finely, soy sauce to taste, 2 pounds of clams, mussels, or other shellfish in the shell, soaked in cold water for 1 hour to eliminate sand, 4 to 5 stalks of green onions sliced finely for garnish, 2 teaspoons of fresh grated ginger to serve, and salt to taste. Oh, that was no mean feat. I was able to find everything I needed really quickly at our local grocery store as we, kept a social distance, and I got my clams from my local fishmonger and kept the social distance, but we got it down. We're using clams and it's gonna be good, so we gotta get cooking.
Bring a large pot of salted water to a boil. Then add the onion, add the ginger, add the noodles, cover and let simmer until al dente, about 8 to 10 minutes. Meanwhile, wipe down the shells of the clams with paper towels. Then add soy sauce to the pot, the chilies, and the shellfish, and add water if the noodles are a bit dry or if you'd wish to have more sauce. Let it cook covered for 3 to 5 minutes more until the shells have opened. Plate the servings in bowls, dress with the chopped scallions, and drizzle on the sauce to make it as soupy as you'd like.
How did that turn out? Well, it was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed the clams. They cooked all nicely. They were all good clams. None of them stayed shut or anything. The noodles were very nice. They were al dente as they're supposed to be. In truth, I did kind of mess up and I got a couple steps off. I kind of corrected it in the video. So the onions and ginger probably weren't cooked quite the right way, but if you have it in the bowl, and make sure you use lots and lots of that sauce or the liquid, because that's really what it takes. It needs to be in the broth, and I learned that you really do have to put a good deal of the soy sauce into it because it really needs that sodium to bring it to life. I didn't use enough in the first place, but I did in the second place. Had a nice kick from the ginger, the hot chilies gave it a nice bit of bite, so we enjoyed it. I'm gonna give the noodles and shellfish from Solomon Islands 4 out of 5 globes. It was a tasty dish, and it gave us a lot to eat for now and leftovers, which means we don't have to brave the grocery store for a few more days, so yay! So that does it for this stint here in Oceania. If you're watching this in the middle of this crisis, please be sure, stay safe. If at all possible, stay indoors, wash your hands thoroughly, and if you are one of the fortunate few who have anything to spare, please help people in your local area or internationally. Help get through this in any way you can. Thank you so much for watching. Next week or after, depending on what happens, we're going to be heading back to Africa to have the really delicious food of Somalia, so see you then. And remember, if you'd like to be advised when these videos are posted, please be sure to follow us on Periscope. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Like and subscribe if you'd like to be advised when these videos are posted, and be sure to hit that bell to get those notifications. Remember, links to the original recipes can be found in the About section. If you have any thoughtful feelings or helpful suggestions about the food we're eating, please be sure to sound off in the comments. Thanks for watching, and happy eating!